You will remember that asinivusele amaswati amahle namuhla ekuseni Happy Valley Hotel eZulwini lapho khona ke kunemsebenzi ke lomkhulu lapho khona livela kangwane ligubha ke lilanga lelatinga ukuthi ke World TB Day. Lilanga ke leli maswati amahle leligujwa ke mhlaba wonke ngenhloso yekuthi ke sikhumbutane ngesifo ke se-TB lesifo ke lesibulalako ikakhulukati ke lekusifo ikakhulukati ke emaveni lamanyenti lesibonakale ke senta umonakalo lomkhulu masicathaniswa noma ke masiphinze sifakwa ekhathi ke na relationship yaso ke nesifo ke se-HIV and AIDS. Emaveni amanyenti abantu labanyenti labasishiyile ke emhlabeni labane HIV and AIDS bagcine ke basishiya ke emhlabeni ngesifo ke selikhwehle noma ke i-TB. Kungako ke nelivela kangwane nemhlaba wonke jikelele ubamba ke lilanga kukhumbuta sive ngebumcoka ke noma ke kunaka nekulwa ke nekuncoba sona ke sifo ke se-TB even la kangwane umkhuhlane noma ke sifo ke se-TB ekhaya ke Eswatini njengoba ke sengivedile sendeke lomkhulu kumonakalo size sathiwa ke ngamzala wesifo se-HIV and AIDS njengoba ke abantu abanyenti labakade banegciwane le-HIV and AIDS bekutholakala ukuthi ke banaso ke sifo se-TB even la kangwane kangangoba bagcina ke basishile ke emhlabeni. Kunenge nalokunye lobekade ke kwenteka lokufaka ekhathi ke tinkholelo letithite ukuthi umuntu makane-TB kunetinto letendekako lebetenta abantu bangakhoni ukuthi balaphe lesifo bacondzane naso njengoba ke siyati ukuthi labanyenti babo bokhanza ukuthi ke sebaba nema-hallucinations noma kumbe ngeSiswati bewakutholakala ukuthi sebayahema kube netinkolelo ukuthi kumbe lo muntu akaguli kukhona ke tinto lesetimngenile lethambelana nenkolelo lethite yalabo bantu labathite naletinye nje tinkolelo ukuthi i-TB ibamba kumbe bantu ke laba kanjani. Namuhla la kulithuba ke lemaswati ukuthi ke atawuphinze eve ngemitamo yelivela kangwane lehambelana nekuthi ingabe sendeni kulwa naso ke lesifo ikakhulu kade mase kukhulunyiswa ke netindzaba tabo bathi drug resistant TB. Kukhona ke tifo ke telikhwehle lebokhanza ukuthi noma umuntu somnika ke maphilisi leso sifo ke asiselapheki bekubangwa yini lokho kanye ke naletinye ke tinkolelo lokuhle ukuthi ke kunema positive labonakalako kendiwe ke livela kangwane lokufaka ekhathi ke ema laboratories awo ke bo TB kune TB hospital nalamanye ama facilities uhulumende lekawasukumisile ngenhloso yokuthi ke kuliwe ke nesifo ke se-TB lokungafaka ekhathi ke namaphilisi siyathi ke ukuthi itolo abantu bebajova ukhanza ukuthi kufuna ukuthi ayojova kumbe lilanga ngelilanga kodwa kuhambeka kwaba nema-improvements lathide in terms of emaphilisi lendiwe ukuthi akhona ke kumelana ke nalesifo noma kumbe umuntu angasadingi ukuthi ke hamba ayojova esibhedlela ilanga ngelilanga lokunengi lobekade kuba ke nema side effects nakhona. The World TB Day of 2021 is commemorated under the theme "The clock is ticking, ending TB under the time of COVID-19." Kuphindze ke kube ne-relationship noma ke budlelwane lobukhona emkhathisini walesifo ke se-TB kanye ke nemkhuhlane lokhona kulamalanga umkhuhlane we-COVID-19 njengoba sathi lokuthi bantu labanemkhuhlane we-COVID-19 balimala kumbe noma kumbe lesifo sibabamba kakhulu ke emaphashini nasemphinjeni lokuyinvo lokhanza ukuthi igcina ke igcinzetela kakhulu labo ke labanesifo ke se-TB njengoba ke emaphaphu abo asuke angekho ke esimeni lesikahle ukhanza ukuthi bayakhwehlela nalokwa sifuna ke kuva namuhla njengoba ke sikanekiseke la eHappy Valley Hotel ukuthi ingabe ematiko nama stakeholders atabe enda ini noma kakhulumisa ini mbambamba ekulweni masithi ke the clock is ticking, ending TB under the time of COVID-19. Kunema guest speakers ke lafaka ekhathi ke labata ukhulumela ke inhlangano yakamhlaba i-World Health Organization ukhona ke lota ukhulumela ke lonquseleke live leMelika kuleli ukhona ke lota ukhulumela hulumende ngaphansi ke kwelitiko ke letempilo kuleli indvuna lezi inkosi lekhona ke kulomsebenzi lomuhla kodwa ke singakangeni kulokunengi lokuhambelana nawo ke umsebenzi asesibuke naku lesinilungisele kona lokuhambelana netinkolelo ke bantu labanato lesithathu kumbe ngalesilumbi ngema-myths noma ke nama-facts lahambelana nokuthi i-TB ingiloku lokucabanga ngako yini noma cha sitase siyabuya ke sicocisana Babethemba Dlamini lo ngumcondzisi wehlangothi ke la ka TB ekhaya ke Eswatini kuvala ukuthi ingabe sisuka kuphi ivele nemkhuhlane we TB siyathi lokuthi bebane ama community programs lahambelana nekukhuthatha ke ukunathwa amaphilisi didududu nalokwa ingabe kusite kangakanani sikuphi vele nyalo sibheke phi nekulwa naso ke isifo se TB. We know that the country has made some positive milestones with regards to issues of HIV and AIDS. When you look at your 95 and we talk about issues of malaria, we've made some positive developments. But let's look at this short clip where we are talking about the myths and facts of TB.
TB is a curse or punishment from God or the ancestors.
TB is an airborne disease caused by bacteria or germs. Anyone can get it, no matter who they are.
TB is hereditary.
TB is not hereditary. It is contagious. It is transmitted through the air when an infected person coughs or sneezes without covering their mouth or nose.
If you have TB, then it means you also have HIV.
People living with HIV and AIDS are at a higher risk of developing TB. But HIV and AIDS and TB are separate diseases. Hence, you can have one or both diseases at the same time.
TB is a disease for poor people.
Anyone can get TB, regardless of status or social class. However, there are those at higher risk of being infected, such as PLHIV, children under 5 years, malnourished people, ex-minors, prisoners, and many more.
Ukuthi ingabe ngitiphe ke inkolelo sivile sibonakala ke sinato lokungenda ukuthi kumbe sifo se TB singagcina ke sichakele ke emvini asolo athi kumbe unalokunye etina ngeke inkolelo lethi kade ke tikhona lefake ekhathe ukuthi wonke umuntu lona emkhuhlane we TB angamthelela lomunye ke umuntu kanti ke liqiniso ukuthi akusiko ke kanjalo njengoba ke mangabe sokucala ke kudle amaphilisi esifo ke se TB period engaba nganga 2 weeks or so ukhanza ukuthi ke leso sifo ke sesiyaqala kumbe sesiyakhona ukuthi noma la maphilisi akhona ke kukusita. And we will be sharing some of these myths throughout the broadcast today, just to make you appreciate how far we've come in dealing with some of those myths, some of which may have caused problems with regards to people going out to test for TB and some other TB-related issues. Kanti ke sengila nababeke Themba Dlamini lo ngumcondzisi wehlangothi ke lebuke sona ke sifo se TB ekhaya ke Eswatini nguThemba Dlamini, who has been with TB for the longest time possible. Dlamini wakunena nguvusela ngophela thuba lekuvusela sive emakhaya.
Siyavusela sivene emakhaya.
Lilanga lelikhulu Nkosi namuhla la sigubha ke ilanga le World TB Day siligubha ngaphasi kwesicubulo lesithi the clock is ticking, ending TB under the era of COVID-19. Ngabe kusho ukuthini lokho Nkosi njengoba ngisengivele dilele ukuthi sobe nelihlangothi laka TB isikhathi lesithe kakhulu. We are still talking about ending TB. Sichamuka phi vele mbambamba nesifo se TB?
Angibonge John, kuyinjabulo lenkulu kimi namhla ukuthi sibe nalelilanga lelihlala liba khona minyaka wonke endlovini lenkulu imashumi lamabili nane 24 March lapho kuthiwa lilanga le TB Day. Kancane nje lalisuka khona lelilanga lisuka ekuthenini kwatholakala sisombululo ukuthi TB ingalapheka kanganani ingalapheka kanjani emva kokuthi ihlukumede abantu kakhulu bafe ikakhulu eEurope yaze yafika nala Africa. Kwase kuthiwa ke lelilanga lelitawuhlala likhunjulwa njalo. Kodwa ke bekufanele singabe selilanga lekujabula ngoba kufanele singabe TB sekude. Kodwa namhla lokho siyalikhumbula lelilanga ukuthi sibuke ukuthi singemave umhlaba wonke sesendene ngekulwa nalesifo bohulumende nani nine sive ukuthi nisibambisene kanganani ngikuphi la kushoda khona ngikuphi la kufuna silungise khona siphindze futhi siqayele phasi sikhuthatane kakhulu ukuthi iTB isekhona iseselihlupho etikweni letempilo. Kodwa ke kunengi kakhulu livele selikwendile ukuthi lilwe nalesifo kusukela nje kufundiseni bantu ukuthi TB yini uyithola kanjani uyibona ngani ukuthi unayo. Bantu sebayayathi TB ukuthi na ukhwehlela uluza iweight ufoma ebusuku kusonzela emtholampilo sebayeta abantu emtholampilo kanti esikhathini lesiphelile abantu bebahlala baphude futhi sebasheshe bafike lo kusenta ukuthi nyalo sikhona ukuthi sibapopole masinyane sikhanzele sifo sengabadli kakhulu siphinde sibalaphe nyalo nje nangakhuluma nje ukuthi John bantu lese sithina sesibatholile sibalaphe babang 86% lokusho ukuthi cishe sesibalapha abaphile bonke labantu esibathola bana lesifo sesishoda nje nga 4% ukuthi sifike kuma global targets ngoba nangala ka TB ema targets akhona ambita lo 90 thine la kangwane nje bantu sesibalapha bang 86% lokusho ukuthi nje sekusele na 4% lokuthi sifike egcineni kungako ke namuhla silisebenzisile lithuba ukuthi noma ngabe ikhona iCovid asikhumbutaneni ukuthi iTB nayo isekhona futhi kokubili singakulwa sikunqobe kokubili kanye ikhona iCovid isihlubumetile lapha nalapha kodwa litikelo tempilo selo liphokophele ukuthi tonke letinye tifo letihlupho letfaka ikhasi labo TB nato akuliwe nato ngiko nje namhla sasikhumbute sive nendvuna itawukhuluma ikhumbute sive ukuthi ikhona iCovid iyahlupha kodwa tikhona tifo njengabo TB nabo HIV nato litiko alikahlali ikakhulu le COVID seyize imvule emehlo na minister wethu na hulumende ukuthi uyathi letinye indlela singatisebenzisa nginathi letinye singatisebenzisa nginathi lebe singakatibuki phambilini njenganyalo nje maphilisi akhona ka TB nale MDR lebe ilashwa ngemijovo sesiyilapha ngamaphilisi nemivuka yale maphilisi semincane ngoba sesinathe maphilisi kuphela sekude imijovo sesithi ke malangeni khuthalani kakhulu silwe nale TB ngoba njengalo situbulo sisho nje sithi the clock is ticking let's end TB even in the era of HIV of COVID-19 asikhuthaleni silweni ne TB isekhona kodwa nje sibonge kakhulu esiveni ngendlela sibambisene ngayo ikakhulu le miphakathini la sibeke khona abantu labangena lamakhaya bahambe bahlola abantu ukuthi banayo intimpawu te-TB bayabavumela boba beshifu na yonke ma community leaders abavumela bangene lamakhaya sese ubonile vele umehluko kuyasebenzela kakhulu khuthalani malangeni sivumelene singene emakhaya sikhona kunifundisa phinde sikhona kunihlola
kumbe nje ngosilo bekuyinkinga kakhulu ngeTB itolo bekungilokuthi kumbe sive sankosi besishona noma besifa sibulawa ngeyo iTB ikakhulu kade ngalokuthi inalobudlelwane lobukhona neHIV masibuka ama milestones lesesiwendile silive etinzabeni tabo TB sorry tabo HIV with regards to the 95 I know we have hit that 95. Does this mean we need to now start celebrating ukuthi neTB angeke isawabulala eMaswati because eMaswati la HIV positive leligciwane lelinengi engadini selisuppressed umuntu angeke asathi khanza kumbe noma ngabe uneTB seyimbulala leyo TB does this give us good reasons to celebrate when it comes to issues of fatalities or mortalities etinzabeni tabo TB
angisho penning ukuthi ngenhlanhla lembi sisengafika esikhathini sekuthi sesinga-celebrate sisesikhathini sekuthi nyalo sifake umfutho kakhulu kuliqiniso kona ukuthi i-HIV ngiyo lebe yenda ukuthi bantu baphindze balithole malula leligciwane le-TB ekuqaleni ke kube netinkinga abantu besabe ukuthi utawuthi uzohlola i-TB bese basune HIV but ngala ka-HIV sekusetshendiwe kakhulu ukuthi abantu basathi isimo sabo ngoba ungasathi lesimo sakho siyakhona nokuthi nawu nale HIV sikuvikele lokuthi ungayitholi TB so nyalo ke vele lokunyuka ukuthi HIV yenda kahle kusimo lesihle vele nangala ka TB ukuthi lamasotsha akho angaqina ubese le TB ayusayitholi malula but isigcizelele penning ukuthi TB ayibangwa iHIV kuphela tikhona letinye timbangela letenda ukuthi umuntu athole iTB ema social determinants la njenge ukuthi nihlala kanjani ekhaya endlweni unayivula yini emafastelo lokhohlela kusheshe aye esibhedlela nalapha nanidla lamasotsha enu ayaqina noma ngabe ude iHIV iTB usengayithola so kufuna sikugcizelele lokho kungabe sekungazuthi wonke umuntu lophethwe iHIV utawuse uba neTB noma wonke umuntu lo neTB une-HIV yebo kona kuliqiniso ukuthi labacishe abantu babe ngu70 ekhulwini basuke banayo leligciwane leHIV
Mina kuyena siyabonga lokuningi sesitakuva ngendvula njengoba vele seyilungise ingenile ngekhathi kulomsebenzi siyabonga kakhulu Dlamini
asibonge John sitawuva lokunenge endvuneni. Emaswati akachubeke abukele alalele sibambisane siyabonga.
Ngubaba Themba Dlamini lo ngumcondzisi wehlangothi ke lwe-TB unit ekhaya ke Eswatini. Lo sebenze kakhulu kade ke khambela ke igodzini noma kumbe emakhaya kuyonda ke lawo ma domestic visitations ma stakeholders akhipheke nedududu kwabana abantu abahambela kuyokuthata kunathwa kawo ke maphilisi. Siyathi ukuthi esikhathini lesinyenti bekuba khona lama relapses ngekuthi ke bantu khanze ukuthi uyathi ukuthi sowunayo ke i-TB kodwa ngekuba khashane kumbe kwemitholampilo nalamanye ke ma factors bokhanza ukuthi umuntu sowugcina kasawalanzi noma kasawanathi ke maphilisi. Those are some of the programs that we have seen under the TB control unit leganekiseke lapha ke kaManzini. I am hoping that we are also going to find out why the TB unit in Manzini has been closed at a time when we are still fighting TB, which is why I was also asking Babe Dlamini lokuthi ingabe kusesifike isigabeni celebrate yini etindzabeni te-TB when we consider 95 on the HIV side of things, but also because of the latest developments lapho khona ke sivile lokuthi lo hlangothi lolulwa naso ke lesifo se-TB lugcine ke livaliwe. And my thinking or your thinking could be kusho ukuthi sesingcobile ini TB mangabe lo hlangothi seluvalwa kuthiwe ke labe basebenta kilo abahambi bayohlala ke emakhaya. Kunetinkinga letingaba khona letingabanga ukuthi lama programs ebekathi akhona ngaphansi kwalo hlangothi la TB akasana uba khona because of the latest developments of the closure of the TB control unit in Manzini. But let us cross over to Rejoice Kambule, who is our program director, who is also going to help us to appreciate the nature of the event from inside the auditorium. Over to you, Rejoice.
Ngiyabonga John. Semukele babukeli emakhaya Eswatini TV naku TV yeMaswati channel. Siyanemukela nonke kulo mcimbi. Ladies and gentlemen, I request that we start our program today. I would like to recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister of Health, Senator Lizinkosi, the Honorable Members of Parliament, Lakhona Endlini, Her Excellency, the Ambassador of the United States of America to the Kingdom of Eswatini, the representative of MSF present within us, leaders of different organizations that work with us on the TB, ladies and gentlemen, senior government officials, representatives of the media houses present. Siyanemukela ekseni, good morning. Siyanemukela ekseni, good morning. Are we all here? I feel like starting ngekuthi ngithi kenje yini leyo. How does the clock tick? The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking today. We are all welcome. Kulo msebenzi lesikuwo namuhla lesito sebenta kuwo kwekuthi sikhumbutane nani babukele emakhaya siyakhumbutana kwekuthi sifo se-TB solo sikhona. Sifo se-TB kumele sisisebente. Sifo se-TB naloku kunemkhuhlane we-COVID-19 kumele kuthi sisisebente. Asiphinze sisho ukuthi the clock is ticking. How does the clock tick? Nasemakhaya sikhumbule njalo namuhla lusuku lonke la namuhla sibe sisho sithi the clock is ticking. Kulesikhathi samanje I am Rejoice Nkambule, program director kulolu hlelo lwanamuhla leli fisha lestabe sikhumbutana kulo, and I would like us to start the program siqhubeke ngalo lolo hlelo lolubekiwe kithi ukuthi sililandzele. Siyathanda kulesikhathi sanyalo ukuthi I would like to invite Loyo Lomele MSF to come forward and make his statement in this day. Siyabonga.
Good morning, everybody. The Ministry of Health and the Directorate of the Ministry of Health, representations of the World Health Organization, UN organizations, US Ambassador, Parliamentary TB caucus, former and current patients living with TB, the community and all stakeholders, all protocols observed. Each year in March, we commemorate the World TB Day. Despite all the efforts in the past, tuberculosis remains a deadly infectious killer. Each year, about 10 million people fall ill, and about 1.4 million people die from TB. TB has even become more deadly, with drug resistance against TB drugs growing. This disease has devastating health consequences, specifically when it comes with HIV and COVID-19. TB has also dramatic impact on the livelihoods of our communities, and it comes with social stigma and severe economic consequences. And let's not forget, it is first of all affecting the poor, the people who do not have the choice of proper housing, safe workspaces, and food security. The last year themes of the World TB Day was "It's time" to urgently accelerate the TB response to save lives and end suffering. Sadly to say, this still holds true, specifically in the context of COVID-19 pandemic. This year it's not only time, but the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking with greatest urgency. The COVID-19 pandemic serves as a grave reminder that health threats can travel swiftly across all countries. COVID-19 has shown us how a disease similar to TB has affected our community, our families, brothers and sisters, and too often our fathers and mothers. On the one hand, COVID-19 has helped us to develop new ideas and to accelerate our TB response. As such, we have started implementing new interventions. For instance, video-observed therapy is now available in the Eswatini region. It allows patients with multi-drug resistant tuberculosis to adhere to all treatment whilst at the comfort of their own homes. In addition, we offer transportation of patients with multi-drug resistant tuberculosis to the health facility, hence removing the need for them to use public transport and reducing their risk to contract COVID-19. Also, we fast-track their clinical reviews in the facility so that their stay in the facility is shorter. We also invest in quality medication, shorter treatment, and better patient support interventions. On the other hand, COVID-19 has come with many not anticipated threats and consequences. The COVID-19 pandemic response has pushed aside tuberculosis outreach activities and other essential TB services. Globally, this results in a 20% drop in diagnosis and treatment. Today, scientists estimate that 12 months of COVID-19 eliminates 12 years of progress in the fight against tuberculosis. Unfortunately, we have too easily lost sight of how TB continues to affect our community, specifically under the COVID-19 pandemic. We have lost sight how TB accelerates its spread unnoticed. Sadly but true, the number of TB infections is going to increase globally, and the number of people dying of TB will increase too. The time is now, as the clock is ticking. We must recommit to increase funding and attention to the TB response. We must recommit to put TB again on the agenda. We must never forget how many people are suffering and dying of tuberculosis in silence without being noticed. Now, during COVID-19, we must not stop our commitments because it will not do good to our community nor future generations. Although the TB response has been strengthened in the past years, more needs to be done. We, and I mean all of us, including international community, the government, various organizations, and we as people, we need to look into new ways to make available tools to prevent TB infection, better case finding, and better and faster diagnosis. Let me provide an example. With proper investments, we have learned that after less than a year, a vaccine was developed and is being deployed to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. On the other hand, TB has been affecting humankind for thousands of years. The only approved vaccine is 100 years old and does not fully work in adults. I wish to see the same international commitment to fund research and development into an effective vaccine against TB as it is currently done for COVID-19. Colleagues, we do not only have the public health necessity, but also the ethical obligations to reinvest in our TB response in order to have a chance to end TB by 2013. The clock is ticking. Personally and lastly, I hope that the community, stakeholders and the government of Eswatini will emerge from this COVID-19 crisis with a renewed commitment to address TB in all parts and corners of the country without leaving anybody behind. Thank you very much. Siyabonga.
Thank you very much to MSF. Let's give them a round of applause again. Sisehleti nabo babukeli uSwazi TV, Eswatini TV na Yemaswati channel. Sengitsheliwe ke ukuthi we have another audience online. Can we welcome them? Online, virtually. Umhlaba wonke is with us as we continue with commemorating the TB Day. Again, ngitsitesendana namuhla. Sikhumbutana sithini today. Naso sibingelelo today. That's how we're greeting each other to remind ourselves that the clock is ticking, ending TB in the context of COVID-19. At this time, I would like to invite the next person who will render us some testimonial, who is going to come forward. Atosniga i-testimonial yokuthi engabe so far uhambe njani asikhuthate siyacela ke ukuthi he may take the podium. Thank you very much. Asimemukele ngetandla eze atothatha i-podium.
Nginibingelele nonke lenikhona endlini. Ibito lami ngengugudwala ngisuka eshiselweni endaweni yasehlangano ngisemaseyisini. Lona lomela phambi kwenu ngusisi lobeka nesifo se-TB. But anale sifo se-TB legwamile. Uyihambile lendlela 9 wetinyanga ajova 2 years adla emaphilisi e-TB legwamile. Ngimela phambi kwenu ngitotiveta ngitoba ngifakazi we-TB ukuthi iyelapheka. Mina ngilaphekile ngisitakele kakhulu ngekubambisana nefamily yami. Ngisitile kakhulu nangekubambisana nemango wakithi kakhulu ngisitakele kakhulu ngisitakele nekubo dokotela bami nabonesi bami bangikhuthatile kakhulu ukuthi ngize ngibe ngilogugu lenguye la mhlaleni embonako. Use nale sifo se-TB kunedingqinamba lodibana nato. Kepha uma utolandzela lo mgomo wale TB uyendlula kito kalula futhi hayi kakhuni. Dingqinamba lodibana nato usa lapha le TB. Mina lengadibana nato kakhulu. Kuba kungafuni ukudla noma monathala amaphilisi uyahlanda. But mobambisene nabo dokotela uyakhona ukuphila uzicethele libanga. Lengingakukhuthata kulabo labalaphela i-TB. Ngingabacela ukuthi balandzele umgomo kadokotela kwekuqala. Uma dokotela athe natha emaphilisi akho uwaqethe ngesikhathi lesingikuthi cela ukwende lokho. Lokunye lengakukhuthata ngicela badle kahle. Lengunye lengakukhuthata kubo. Cela bangawayekeli dokotela angakasho. Ningibona nje ngimela lo 2 years ngimhambe ngekubambisana na dokotela ngichubeka ngiwanatha emaphilisi. Uthi bona ke ukuthi sengiphilile. Bengingesiye logugu nimbonako la ngisawanatha lamaphilisi. Kepha ngekhamba kwesikhathi ngathi bona ngibuya emtimbeni wami ngibuya ebaleni lami nekuva ke ngadokotela. Uma somcedzile lo 2 years Bese kuba nesigaba sa 3 months lapho khona umikisa khwehlela takho bayokuchecka ukuthi sophilile yini. Dokotela ke ngakwenda lokho lo 3 months wangitshela ukuthi sengiphilile. Kwaba ngilapho athi angiyekele emaphilisi amkhona. Lo sengigcina wena lo sengakatati ukuthi unale TB kani unetimpawu tekugula. Cela mase watiwa ukuthi unale TB so udade ukuthi unale TB landzela umgomo wadokotela unathe emaphilisi akho dawuphila.
Another round of applause for Coco. She has given us her testimonial on how she has survived the journey and how it is important to work with your doctors and the family support to get to where she is now. She is inspiration, and I think all of us can go to her to get more information, and whenever we need that experience sharing. Ending TB in the time of COVID-19. So, in line with that theme, let's have a 1-minute hand sanitizing break. Can I see everyone sanitize? That's the order of the day in COVID-19. Hand sanitizing break in the midst of this commemoration. I'm watching how we do it. Some are just rubbing 1 second. How we do it in between the fingers, making sure that everything in your hands is sanitized. That's how we will get through this period. At this time, we invite Her Excellency, the USA Ambassador to the Kingdom of Eswatini, to come and make her remarks. Can we welcome her with a round of applause?
Sorry, hands are sticky. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Minister of Health, colleagues, all protocols observed. It's my honor to be here today to reaffirm our commitment to eliminating tuberculosis in Eswatini and around the world, and to raise awareness about this disease. In preparing for today's event, I was stunned to learn that tuberculosis is one of man's oldest plagues. Human skeletal remains dating back to 4000 BC show evidence of TB. We all know that TB is both treatable and preventable, yet it remains one of the world's deadliest infectious diseases. More than 1 million people lost their lives to this disease in 2019, including 247 souls in Eswatini. Colleagues, it's time to end TB. The theme for World TB Day this year is "The Clock is Ticking," as we've heard, ending TB in the time of COVID-19. Though we are in a global fight against the COVID crisis, the newest pandemic, we must not forget that nearly 2 billion people around the globe are also infected with latent TB and are at risk of developing active TB. This is 23% of the world's population, including tens of millions of children, in whom TB can be difficult to detect and is often left untreated. Time is short for the world to make good on our global TB commitments. In 2018, world leaders committed to diagnosing and treating 40 million people by 2022, including 3.5 million children. They committed to reaching 30 million with TB preventative treatment, or TPT, and to mobilizing financial resources to invest in research for better science, better tools, and better delivery. We have the means to break the cycle of transmission of TB disease by identifying and treating infected people. The time to act is now. The U.S. government has invested over $600 million in the public health sector in Eswatini since 2004. Our support has helped build an infrastructure that not only provides the tools for comprehensive HIV/AIDS relief, but is well positioned to combat other infectious diseases such as COVID and TB. And let's not forget that TB control is a critical element of the fight against HIV and AIDS. We're on a good path. PEPFAR-supported programs in Eswatini reported roughly 2,000 new TB cases last year, a 23% drop from what was reported in 2019. Indeed, this follows a pattern we've seen in recent years of encouraging declines in the number of people with active TB disease in Eswatini. We must maintain our focus, however, on Eswatini's national response to TB through targeted prevention and treatment. In 2020, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, the U.S. supported programs to initiate TPT in over 47,000 people living with HIV in Eswatini, a 46% increase over 2019 figures. The U.S. government stands with the government of Eswatini in pursuit of global commitments to eliminate TB. This year alone, we provided $1.5 million to support the rollout of new TB prevention medicines. We provided $65,000 to support research on TB sequencing and identifying new TB mutations. We continue to provide technical and capacity-building support to establish and maintain a systematic TB screening at health facilities. And we're supporting innovations to find and prevent TB with cost-effective, sustainable interventions. Taken together, these actions are making a difference in people's lives, and we commend all of you and everyone who has committed themselves in ways both large and small to the fight against TB. Our achievements give us the strength and inspiration to continue the fight. We're still witnessing high mortality rates, up to 11%, among people infected with drug-resistant TB. We cannot truly achieve success without vigilant surveillance and action among healthcare workers. We have the knowledge and the means to end the TB epidemic, this ancient epidemic. Now is the time to end TB in Eswatini. Siyabonga.
Siyabonga kakhulu kuye lonxusele livele eAmerica even Eswatini. We thank her for the commitment in the partnership against TB, ending TB in the time of COVID. The clock is ticking. Remind your neighbor with the lowest tick sound. Skumbutane nje ukuthi the clock is ticking. It is time to end TB. So los letinabo ke babukele our valued viewers in Eswatini TV and channel Yamaswati. We appreciate that they're with us and we're asking them ukuthi nababa kumbutane lo bukela nabo mkhumbude ukuthi liyakhala lwash. Skati siyahamba. Also our online audience siyajabula ukuthi you are also saying the clock is ticking. It is time to end TB. Kulesikhathi sanyalo would like to move on with our program. Simeme, the next speaker, who is the chairperson of the Parliamentary TB caucus. Umhlonishwa Markford, you have the floor, sir. Asishaye tandla.
Akulu, Program Director, I hope the time won't tick before I finish. Honorable Minister Senator Lizinkosi, Chairperson of the Health Portfolio Committee, Honorable Small George Lamini, Lopinzabeng MP wasemaseyisini, la kamga khona Shivagati la, the United States of America Ambassador, Your Excellency Jean Malone, World Health Organization country rep Dr. Cornelia Alcio, TB Parliamentary caucus, TB cohesion, all protocol observed. In my brief remarks, may I sincerely pass my heartfelt gratitude to the Minister of Health and the entire ministry for having contributed tremendously in the formation of the TB Parliamentary caucus, which I currently chair. This should have happened in the 9th or even 10th Parliament, but it never be. On that note, congratulations, Minister, that it happened during your tenure in office, and it was successfully launched by yourself in the year 2019. Though a little late comer, with almost all SADC countries having the committee, were able to hit the road running. And within a short period of time, Eswatini caucus had built name for itself. As hardly 3 months, we made huge inroads as its chairman, and that is myself, was chosen to be among the 5 countries out of 16 countries in SADC to be champion of My Choice, Your Choice campaign. All the other 4, thank you very much. All the other 4 champions are medical practitioners, except the Eswatini chairman. We see this as a milestone, Honorable Minister. Objectives of the TB caucus. The TB caucus's main objective is to have TB issues given the prominence they deserve, especially at a higher level where political will is sought. Minister, it was observed that globally there was so much work done on the ground through the ministries using departments as the TB program in our context, but there was little commitment in higher places where decisions are taken or made. New York. Thus, in New York, there was a summit of head of states to sensitize leaders about the scourge. It is on that vein that as a caucus, one of our key responsibilities is to provide insight on government and assist here in living up to the expectations of the declarations and resolutions taken in summits to curb this pandemic that remains the greatest killer in the world. And as we commemorate World TB Day, we're delighted that for the first time, Eswatini TB caucus is part of the program. Like I said, it was not the case in 2 parliaments before this one. That was the 8th and the 9th, the 10th parliament were not there. Achievements. We had 3 workshops that sensitized us as a committee on so many issues about the disease. We're also able to formulate a work plan. And again, we're on the verge of a caucus strategy until the world's attention and focus shifted to the immediate perilous COVID-19 pandemic. Limitations. The COVID-19 halted all our plans for obvious reasons, Honorable Minister. Forward. A year living in the so-called new normal is inexcusable to be worried of COVID-19 because, as Rejoice, the program director, has said, the clock is ticking. In other words, akusasiyo excuse nyalo ukuthi angikhoni kwenda lokhu nalokhu because of COVID-19. This would have been a good excuse a year back, but now buka from now, we've enjoyed a whole year with this pandemic. So the clock is ticking. Now is the time. Now is the time to climb up the mountain and reason against habit. Now is the time to adapt living with COVID-19, living within it, and moving forward. Thus, we request, Honorable Ministry, with your partners to assist us with funding to be able to work on our strategic plans that will lead to reach out programs that can only be achieved, Honorable Minister, by first sensitizing Parliament on the role of each member, a role that each member can play in his constituents. In conclusion, I thank you, Honorable Minister, for your warm reception of the new committee. We also thank TB Program and TB Coalition for enriching us with information on the disease. And as we commemorate this day, in the perils of COVID-19, in the perils of ferocious and vicious and still brutal HIV and AIDS, let us know and let it be known that TB remains the greatest genocide ever. Even today, as I stand here and making this speech, 4,000 people a day are dying. Just today, 4,000 people are dying due to TB. With those few words, I thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you.
Siyabonga kakhulu kumhlonishwa lo ngusihlalo we-TB caucus. You can agree with me that it's the right choice. That is the first ever chairperson of the Parliamentary TB caucus. Asimshayele tandla umhlonishwa. And we know from the remarks that the TB agenda will never disappear from Parliamentary agenda, because the baton will be handed over to the next and the next and the next and the next Parliament. As Health, we are looking forward that it's the first time TB caucus features in World TB Day, but the beginning of many other times. Can we clap to that? Siyabonga kakhulu mhlonishwa for those commitments and remarks and taking the baton to be the first. At this time, may I invite the WHO representative to come forward and make her remarks on this important day. As the clock is ticking, she may take the floor.
Thank you, Program Director, Honorable Minister of Health, Senator Liz Nkosi, Honorable members of both Houses of Parliament present here, Your Excellency, U.S. Ambassador to Eswatini, Jean Melanie, Head of Mission, MSF, Senior Staff of the Ministry of Health, National TB Program Manager and your team, distinguished health workers, members of the media, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Before I read the remarks, I want to express the sincere apologies by Dr. Cornelia Atso, the WHO country representative who could not make it to this meeting, but I want to assure you that she is probably online joining because she really was keen to be part of this commemoration. It is so close to her heart. And as a matter of fact, she prepared these remarks, which I will read without editing anything on her behalf. On behalf of the World Health Organization, I'm greatly honored to address this gathering at the commemoration of the World TB Day, March 2021, in Eswatini, under the theme, "The clock is ticking, ending TB in the time of COVID-19. World TB Day, 24 March every year, is a stark reminder of the significant burden of this disease, despite the existence of effective control interventions. This year's global theme, the clock is ticking, because the TB response urgently needs to be accelerated to reach the targets set in the Sustainable Development Goals and to realize the commitments made by the heads of states at their first ever UN high-level meeting on TB in 2018. In 2019, TB cases in the African region were estimated at 2.5 million, accounting for 25% of the global burden. More than 500,000 of African lives are lost to this disease every year. This is an inexcusable when TB screening and treatment is available for free in all countries. Anecdotal data indicate that too many people are pushed to poverty when they contract TB due to loss of income. So the commitment of the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini to ending TB has led to the impressive significant decline in the country's TB burden. Eswatini is counted among the countries that have made significant progress in reducing new TB cases and deaths. We applaud the Minister of Health for decentralizing TB services at point-of-care diagnosis technologies such as GenoExpect to almost all facilities in the country, by also integrating TB services with those of HIV and non-communicable diseases. We also applaud the commitment towards procurement of life-saving TB medicines, including newly recommended oral shot regime for drug-resistant TB. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, the COVID pandemic has compounded the difficulties in accessing TB services monthly. Monthly notification of the TB cases fell, and the TB testing equipment were reallocated to COVID. However, we do want to applaud the efforts made by the country towards limiting the need for TB patients to visit health facilities by providing the monthly month's worth of TB medicines. Integrating TB screening services with COVID screening are more importantly to the introduction and the rolling out of COVID vaccine. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude the remarks, I want to finally continue to reaffirm the WHO's commitment to continuing to provide technical support to Eswatini in the continued scale-up of TB prevention and treatment services towards the ending of TB by 2030. With all this, I thank you very much for your attention and wish you celebration. Thank you.
Siyabonga kakhulu umhlabhlangene kutempilo for the continued support technically on all that we do as the health sector. We thank that support, we depend on it. Netimpilo tethu tonke njengeMaswati depend on that. Let's give them a round of applause once again. Sishaye tanda nani babukeli. Lesikanye nabo solo sinabo babukeli bethu channel yaMaswati Eswatini TV nabo labaku online in the Zoom audience. We hope you are participating in the applause and everything. Be part of us. The clock is ticking. Be part of us. Siyabonga kakhulu. At this time, I would like to invite our poet Ete atosendela a poem on this day as we remind one another. Asetage, we are going to be listening to a clip that will be played by Eswatini TV as he comes up, and as soon as that clip concludes, you start the poem, sir. Adults don't listen, so please listen to the poem.
TB can be spread by sharing food, utensils, drinks, and kissing.
TB is an airborne disease. It does not spread through the sharing of food, drinks, utensils, or physical contact.
You can stop TB medication once you feel better.
You must complete the full course of treatment in order to be cured of TB. If you stop medication without your doctor or nurse's instruction, you put yourself at risk of getting drug-resistant TB, which is more difficult to treat.
traditional concoctions can cure TB.
Only scientifically proven antibiotics are able to cure all forms of TB.
TB is not, can never be curable.
TB is curable. People must be diagnosed early, adhere, and complete the full course of treatment.
TB only affects the lungs.
TB bacteria usually attacks the lungs, but they can also be found on other parts of the body, such as the brain, kidneys, intestines, blood, lymph nodes, and the spine.
Seeds allow me to plant all through the ears. I promise I will nurture the growth of the sound of my voice with echoes that will continually ring deep inside of you, even long after I am silent. With all protocol observed, Sanbonani. My name is Majahangonyane. The clock is ticking. I won't be much with speeches. I'll just get into it. See, my heart started breaking at a tender age. And I remember it like it was yesterday when the firstborn child to my father, my elder sister, had to be injected at least 4 times a week over a period of 6 months. A traumatic experience that saw us treating our very own as a family like an alien. I know the pain of isolation firsthand when being locked in one room as though you are a murderer, when coughing is frowned at like treason. It was for this reason that we had to use face masks at a tender age. Like mine workers, we covered our faces in facing the harsh reality that our own was sick. It was sickening to understand that ignorance played a big part in this. Should we have known this beforehand, we would have treated it before it was too late. We thank God we're not too late for classification like other families who have had to, unfortunately, utter sentiments like she was a sister, a friend, a mother, and a good human. Graveyards are littered with bodies whose lives were claimed by TB, and if not treated on time, TB is a killer. We hail the ministry for improved medication as TB is today treatable. Even though affected individuals lead long lives because they also listened when cautioned, we join hands with the ministry ngekutsi natsi sekhuteke ngoba lokukhulu ngutsi wekhuteke khuteka. This is a common practice in the Siswati culture when we caution one's out of line behavior kuteka. A common practice in the Siswati culture when turning a girlfriend into a wife. Angati ke kahle ngimi noma kuvame kuba ngilala bakhutekako emakibo lala bavame ukuthi babathathe babateke awuthingi kutekele bathi emendweni kukamkhathala ngadi kahle kusete lo wenze ngala gwenca njengala ngijake kuveda na ingca izivele ngisho insinza betshats top of the charts type of thing khuteka. Inhlonipho ithi ayibe ngumgogodla walamagama kuthi tsiba nekuthi gcogca kwenda sisekelo salamagama live liyengcayelwa akafanele sikwetayele kwekhutwa kepha kufanele sitekhude kuhle kwesikhuni etiko sikhwetelwa kona kulamalanga amunengi umkhuhlane nekukhwehlekwehlelwa kubhedvuke umhlaba wonke engabe impela sidayithini insinza betshats ngisho na ingca izivele. A true pandemic that has caused the world to come to a standstill, world leaders confused out of their fancy suits and offices on solutions on what could be the best solution. Whilst umhlaba is caught up in confusion, loss of life adding to the charts, singabambisa ngakunye mina nawe ukuthi sekhuteke sekwenele sebahambise komaphela la futhi ngalentsha leshisako lebabako emehlweni like doomsday. These days are seemingly pointing towards kuphela kwetikhatsi ngathi nanginemhlaba sewuyagocodwa sidayicoca njengensimi uma bangakasifihli njengenhlanyelo emasimini khuteka. TB is today treatable only if you check your status on time and get medication. The clock is ticking. Thank you.
Siyabonga kakhulu leyo poem with a very important message. Let's kutega. Kutega, have an ear. And both letifo lesikhuluma ngato TB ne COVID it's nje kutega. Therefore, I request that iskutege hand sanitizing minute again so that you get used to it. The clock is ticking. It's time to end TB in the times of COVID. Usually I like it to ask my audience, exam time, what was the clip about? Did we listen? Or I'll turn to the audience online so that I check the chat. Answer 18. What was the clip about? The theme. You will whisper to your neighbor because we won't take the time. Adults won't answer today. Kodwa nje khuteka, lalela, and note what the messaging is. Thank you very much. Sisaqhubeka babukeli bethu lesinabo. We move on with our agenda. And at this time, I would like to invite the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Simon Zwane, to come and perform his task. Let's welcome him to the stage.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Honorable Minister for Health, Senator Liz Nkosi, Honorable Members of Parliament here present. I will single out the Chairperson of the TB Caucus, as well as the Chairperson of the Health Portfolio Committee, Your Excellency, the U.S. Ambassador, Jean Maloney, the WHO representative, country directors of all the health organizations that are partnering with the Ministry of Health, senior government officials here present, our distinguished viewers, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, good morning to you all. Indeed, the clock is ticking, and I want to recognize that this has been a journey. The clock started to tick back then, and it has been ticking, but now the ticking is reminding us that it is all about ending TB. As the clock continues to tick, lawala manye ayabhanyata though, and acima ibhanya, nemacima ibhanya mawasha. Yeah. As that is happening, it is indeed reminding us that it is time to end TB, even in the times of COVID-19. Honorable Minister, you have stood out every day, every hour in this, and you have constantly reminded us that yes, we are dealing with a very serious pandemic, a very, not so easy to understand, pandemic. But you have been constantly, and we want to recognize that this morning, that you've been constantly on our case, the team that is working with you, reminding us that the things that we have to do, we must do. The things that are before us that we have to do in providing guidance to the nation in as far as health is concerned, you have never failed on each and every day. And for that, we say thank you, as I request you to come and address us this morning. Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Honorable members of both houses of parliament here present, Your Excellency, the Ambassador to the US, here Eswatini, and your team from the US Embassy. Representative of the UN family, MSF Head of Mission, and heads of other missions that are partnering with us today. I do not have the list. All implementation partners that are here, senior health officials, all healthcare workers that are here, TB patients, thank you, Sisi, for sharing your story. Media present here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to come and join you today and join the rest of the global community as we commemorate the World TB Day under the theme, "The Clock is Ticking." It was amazing to learn that we had TB 6,000 years ago now. And we are saying today the clock is ticking. Maybe we want to change that narrative and stop the clock on TB. This is what we are about today. For the first time in the history of TB Day, we are celebrating it in this virtual way. Had it not been for COVID-19, we would have been gathered in one of the communities celebrating with the community. I must say, however, that we are happy that even under the unprecedented new normal, we are able to commemorate this day with all of you. It's important for us to ladies and gentlemen, to commemorate the World TB Day. On this special day, we are reminded of the long, difficult journey the country has endured in the fight against tuberculosis. We are also reminded of the suffering of Eswatini that Eswatini have undergone and the numerous loss of lives of our people due to this epidemic. As TB continues to be a menace to our people, we cannot relax, but intensify our effort and strategies towards eliminating this scourge in the nation. Therefore, as we commemorate this day under the country's adapted theme, "The Clock is Ticking, Ending TB in the time of COVID-19, we are motivated that together we will eliminate this preventable and curable disease in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may recall, tuberculosis continues to be a major public health threat in the Kingdom of Eswatini. The situation is worsened by HIV/AIDS core epidemic, as well as the rising rates of drug-resistant forms of TB that are difficult to treat. We are also hugely concerned to see people affected by non-communicable diseases also burdened with TB. Years back, the devastating TB situation was evidenced by reports of nearly 13,000 people infected annually, which put the country as the highest burden per capita in the world. Worth noting is that in the past 10 years, since the declaration of TB as an emergency situation in the country on the 24th of March 2011, we are witnessing great achievements in the fight against TB. Among many, let me count a few. There's a huge decline in the number of people who are newly infected by TB from 11,000 in 2011 to about 2,000 cases in 2020, which translates into 80% decrease of cases. Majority of TB patients are being cured, including drug-resistant TB. The current treatment success rate is at 86%, just 4% shy of the global target of 90%. There's an increased uptake of preventive measures such as the TB preventive therapy, TPT. There's use of modern technology which is able to detect TB within 2 hours, unlike in the past where clients would know their test results in 2 weeks. The Ministry of Health has also deployed community healthcare workers who visit Homestead to support prevention and treatment of TB. For that, we are grateful to the community leaders who continue to allow healthcare workers to support their communities and chiefdoms. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say COVID-19 has negatively impacted on the health delivery system, including TB. We have witnessed a lot of disruptions due to COVID-19, which has demanded a lot of our attention, threatening to reverse the progress made in the TB service delivery over the years. However, the Kingdom of Eswatini, through the Ministry of Health and partners, has built resilience in the healthcare system, dynamic enough to embrace unforeseen challenges such as COVID-19 without stopping critical services like TB, HIV, and other diseases. The advent of COVID-19 pandemic has also opened our minds to explore other avenues needed to continue the implementation of TB services without losing the gains made. The ministry has integrated community awareness on TB, HIV, and COVID-19, integrated TB and COVID-19 screening in all facilities and communities, introduced video observed therapy, VOT, to ensure treatment compliance at home among drug-resistant TB patients, continue to support all drug-resistant patients with food parcels and transport stipend, implemented multiple month drug refill for TB patients, intensified the use of social media platforms to disseminate TB and COVID-19 information. I'm mentioning just a few of these. Let me mention that Eswatini adopted all global commitments and set targets regarding prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and care of all forms of TB. The ministry remains accountable to the nation. As we speak, we have a TB caucus team in Parliament, which is chaired by the Honorable Makford Sibanze, whom you've heard talk earlier. The caucus keeps a very close eye on the developments in fighting TB in the country. As such, we also thank their support in this manner. As the clock is ticking towards elimination of TB globally, we are confident that as a country, we will also achieve this ambitious target that we have set. We know that we cannot do this on our own as a Ministry of Health, but need your collective support because every sector has a role to play in ending TB. We are grateful to all of you who have assisted the country until now, so far, and for your commitment and your continued support until we collectively realize the vision of a TB-free Eswatini. As a ministry, we would like to take this opportunity to assure all our partners that we will continue to provide a conducive environment to receive your support in the fight against TB and all other diseases. As I conclude, let me extend our heartfelt gratitude to all of you for joining us in the commemoration of this day. Indeed, the clock is ticking to end TB in the time of COVID. Let us remain vigilant in ending this scourge in our time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Another round of applause for the Honorable Minister. The clock is ticking. It is time to end TB in the time of COVID-19. Indeed, we have heard the message and we are so revived. Again, sitaukumbutana as we go, what this theme is about in our individual lives. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister, honorable members of Parliament, the clock is ticking. It is time to conclude the event. In line with the COVID-19 regulations, I would like to thank the audience and all those that participated online and through our TV channels, Eswatini TV, the channel Maswati, Siyathanda ukubavalelisa siphinde sibonge ukuthi sibe kanye nabo sisasebenta lo msebenzi. I was reminded ukuthi asikaqali ngemthandazo kanti ngithi it is the time to conclude with the prayer. So at this time I would like to invite Sonto Shabangu, who will conclude our event with a word of prayer, after which we are all invited for breakfast. Again, it is served. Remember, COVID-19 regulations. The clock is ticking, ending TB in the time of COVID, and let us observe the regulations as we do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister, members of Parliament, thank you very much for being with us in this audience. Sivalelise nebabukeli. So, Sonto utasithandazela bese siyaconclude. Thank you.
Can we close our eyes and pray? Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you for this wonderful day, the TB day when we commemorate. Babe sikuniketa litfumo wena wedva uNkulunkulu wethu. Siyabonga uNkulunkulu wethu ongcwele. Kuthi Nkosi emandla noma the strength we draw it from you. Kuthi sikhone babe kunqoba na iTB. Thine with our own knowledge we cannot do it. Siyathandaza Nkosi, help us. Help even the partners who are with us in this work. Babe wethu longcwele. We pray even for the program, my Father. We need your wisdom. Without you, my Father, we cannot do anything. Babe wethu longcwele. We just want to pray even for the country at large. Babe wethu longcwele. We pray moya ongcwele ukuthi Nkosi qhubeka usiphe insight yakho. uNkulunkulu wethu lomuhle as health workers. Siqhubeke Nkosi kunqoba. Sinqobe Nkosi iCovid, sinqobe Nkosi iTB, sinqobe konke Nkosi lokusikhathatako njengelive. Siyabonga Nkosi ukuthi emandla siwaphiwa nguwe. Kungako sithandaza Nkosi ukuthi you give us the strength. Babe wethu longcwele. Sithandazela even the ministry babe. Even the minister herself, babe wethu longcwele. She needs wisdom from you. Wonke Nkosi lokhona. Even the cabinet ministers, babe wethu longcwele wasite nawo because kubuya Nkosi into advances implement thina njenge my health workers. Sithandazele even the king, babe wethu longcwele. The wisdom is from you. Babe wethu longcwele. Sihole babe njengelive. Qhubeke babe and protect us, babe wethu lomuhle, because the protection is from you. Babe wethu lomuhle, siyabonga Nkosi. We give you all the glory and the praise in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Solo sise Happy Valley Hotel eZulwini Maswatlamahle lapho khona sisakada umsebenzi welanga iWorld TB Day elikhutshwa ke njalo mhla tinge na dina tinsuku enyangeni yeNdlovulenkulu. Every day on the 24th of March we commemorate what is known as World TB Day. Nanamuhla ke live la kaNgwane ligubha wona lo msebenzi ngaphasi ke kwesicubulo lesithi the clock is ticking, ending TB in the COVID-19 period or occasion. Njengoba ke sathi ke lokuthi live lemhlaba lihlaselwe kakhulu ke umkhuhlane we-COVID-19 lobonakala ke nanawo unebudlelwane kakhulu nesifo ke se-TB njengoba ke sathi ukuthi labagula ngesifo se-TB ba-affecteka kakhulu babathinzeka kakhulu ke emaphashini nasemphinjeni lekungilapho ke nesifo se-TB sidlalela khona kulokwente ke ngekhathi. Just to give you a brief summary, it is very very commendable to hear what stakeholders and agencies from a government partnership perspective are saying. Kuvalive le Melika li reinforce a commitment yalo ukuthi ke litawuqhubeka ke lekelele live la kaNgwane ekuthengeni ke maphilisi lahloseke kulwa ke naso ke sifo se-TB ekhaya ke Eswatini. There is $1.5 million according to the US ambassador that has just recently been released just to help Eswatini to buy the right and proper medication to fight TB in Eswatini. Sivile ke nenhlangano yaka World Health Organization Eswatini ikhulumisa indzaba yokuthi iyatibophelela ekutheni itawuqhubeka nekwelekelela live le kaNgwane ngetindzaba ke tetimali ekusiteni ke ukuthi ke kuliwe ke naso ke sifo ke se-TB. And we also had umhlonishwa Mark Ford Sibanza akhulumisa ke indzaba yokuthi the TB Parliamentary caucus committee lekhona ke eParliament ihlose ukuthi ke emalunga eParliament etinkundleni ngedoti ngemashumi ke lasihlanu nemfica ekhaya ke Eswatini tikwati kuhambisa ke indzaba ye TB ema constituencies lapho bakhona khona, and also for the fact that in Parliament tindzaba letikhulumisa ke TB tingakhulunywa tikhunyiswe ke ngemalunga ayo ke eParliament. With me right now is Albertina Nyati, who is also a representative of the TB constituency in Eswatini. Labo ke labaphila ke nesifo ke se-TB ekhaya ke Eswatini. Watasichazela nje ukuthi ngabe lelanga leli lisho ukuthini kibo. Albertina, ngikubingelela nguphela thuba lekuvusela siphe.
Ngiyabonga ngibhuti.
Yes, it's World TB Day, Albertina. Baningi kakhulu bantu njengoba ke sesivile netinombolo. Almost 4,000 people die every day. What is it like to live with TB and not have anybody care about that?
Kubuhlungu kakhulu because i-TB ayibulali wena as an individual, ilimata mhlambe nalaba labalaceleni. Lokunye ke ibulala tinfo letinengi because sometimes now une-TB you face tinfo letikabi letifana nelibandlululo because bantu bayesaba i-TB. Lokusho ukuthi libandlululo ke lihamba lize lifike ngisho nasemi-17. I remember someone was telling me ukuthi i-TB it even took his degree because sometimes le stigma bese sekuba ngathi because you have TB awusakhona ngisho nekusebenta awusakhona nekwenta into eziningi. So ke kuba kunengi kakhulu lokhanda ukuthi umuntu one-TB uya experience nakasaphila ne-TB.
Yeah, kulo msebenzi lenikiyo njenge-TB constituency lokusho ukuthi ningilaba kumbe labaphila nalesifo nesitana njani ukuthi kumbe ngiyabekisa nakumuntu lomusha namuhla udiscover ukuthi ngiyabekisa une-MDR multi drug resistant TB sintoni ndlela litholako kubantu abaphila ne-TB?
Lesho ukuthi thina ezibantu abaphila ne-TB lesikusaphotako sisapota lokho labamtshele kona esibhedlela nangihulumende. Lesho ukuthi thina ke lesokwendako siyamsita lo muntu ukuthi simkhombise ukuthi sesiphilile nayo i-TB kuphilwa njani ne-TB. Siphinde futhi as ama-organizations sikhona ukuthi sibusisane ndzawonye sitokhona ukufundisana because dinengi tinto lokhanda ukuthi umuntu lophila ne-TB nalowa ke waba ne-TB kufuna ukuthi atifunze kuze atokhona kuphila avikele ukuthi angaphindze ayithole futhi i-TB because akusho ukuthi uyithola kanye bese iyaphela iphindze ibuye futhi. So siyafundisana ukuthi just like so uke waba nayo i-TB so uphila njani ke emangweni mhlambe lapho utaba khona kunelubandlululo emangweni mhlambe nasekhaya ukhande ukuthi lingaku-affect wena because wena usadzinga ukuthi uphile although likhona lo libandlululo. Siphinde ke sisite nema-communities ekutheni siwafundisele ukuthi umuntu nakane-TB yebo kona sithi mhlambe siyesaba ukuthi uthi dawutheleleka but siphinde simfundise ukuthi kufuna ukuthi simemukele simtreat kahle umtreat njengoloku nawe bongathanza ukuthithwa njalo nangabe bowugula. Sithi ke umuntu ema-communities sewafundisa ukuthi kufuna ukuthi atame lokuthi ati lokuthi umuntu uba infectious nini akabe infectious nini noma ke kuze ukuthi simsite njengemuntu nathi singatheleleki i-TB kufuna sende njani naloko ukuthi ke sibagweme ukuthi umuntu afanele sekabandlululeka angasaphatheki njengemuntu.
Kunana slogan lesisebenza kakhulu kuma organizations la khanza ukuthi aphila kumbe noma athinsaka endzabeni lethite lesithi nothing for us without us. Kukhulunyiswa indzaba ku-enda i-TB ekhaya Eswatini in the era of COVID-19. Ingabe ni-involved yini? What is it that you wish to see if you were to be consulted? And I don't know if you are being consulted by stakeholders from government going down. Tindzabeni ukuthi nina njengabantu abaphila ne-TB nibona ngazuthi i-TB yini lokungasita kunqoba i-TB ekhaya Eswatini?
Ngingathi when you say nothing for us without us sisho lona lokho ukuthi vele kufuna ukuthi nangabe kwendiwa tinfo noma kuthathwa tinqumo nathi thina sibantu labane-TB sibe involved kule tinqumo from kusaplanwa kuze kube ngisegcineni so that nathi sitokhona kubeka umuvo wethu kuma-programs nasetinto letinye letentekayo. So ngita ukuthi sinalo ubudlelwane lobuhle mhlambe ne-Ministry yethu of Health through i-National TB Program. Siphinde sibe nebudlelwane lobuhle nabo-nature lesisebenzisana nabo ekuthenini basisite ekutheni sichubeke sisebente siphinde sisaphothane sibantu labane-TB. Lama-organizations ke kunama-organizations lakahlukene kuna boswamiwa nasinema labasebenta tindzaba tabo TB in the mines nabo solo babambisene nahulumende na National TB program ekutheni bakhona ukuthi basebente nathi sing Eswatini TB program si under TB constituency solo siyabambisana ne TB naletinye ama stakeholders lamaye lasebenta tindzabeni te TB lakhaya even na international and global.
Yeah. Maybe just one last question Albertina. Indzaba ye-stigma njengoba soyivedile ngicabanga ukuthi yini for le tawo endalo ukuthi ama-efforts lendiwe ngama-stakeholders sivile live lemelika li-pledge i-commitment yalo in terms of funding ama-programs, World Health Organization reinforcing their commitment in terms of funding, i-Ministry of Health ikhulumisa tindzaba ukuthi amaphilisi asekatholakala nyala kusafana nayitolo lapho bojova khona imalanga almost every day, but the issue of stigma noma ngabe umuntu uyatitfola leti mfanelo leti ngicabanga ukuthi yini vele ngabuyisela live emuva because ngidawusaba kuyotesta ngidawusaba nekuphumela ebaleni. How can we deal with the issue of stigma?
Mhlambe kudila ne-issue ye-stigma kuba ngilokho ukuthi kufanele isikhathi esiningi abantu labaningi badlulula because umuntu usuke angakafundiseki, so kufuna ukuthi sifundiseke kuqala sathi kabanti nge-TB sitokhona ukuthi sathi ukuthi kufuna ukuthi sende njani noma ke sitheleleka nako nenjani because abantu abaningi bangeva nje ukuthi une-TB bese sebathi hayi udangithelela abathi ukuthi uthelelana kunjani akathelelani na kunjani. So ke indaba iqala kuba kufundiseka. Indaba yesibili ke siyaya nasemasonfeni kufuna ukuthi mhlambe silingise amaphathi ethu emtimba lokho ukuthi asibe munye njengemaphathi ethu emtimba wathi ukuthi lenkwenta kuwe kutang affecta nami kusasa because uma ngabe lo muntu asatawufihla ukuthi une-TB lokusho ukuthi angeke asakhona kuya esibhedlela, lokusho ukuthi nawe wena ungibandlula sawutawutheleleka futhi utheleleke i-TB and baningi labasetawutheleleka nami egcineni ngagcina ngifa ngenzaba yokuthi bongibandlulile ngasaba ukuthi ngiyofuna lisito.
Albertina, thank you so much for your time. Kanti ke lesikhatsanyalo sidaphinde sidocisane la nemhlonishwa nguMarkford Sibanze longusihlalo we-Parliament caucus committee letibukela indzaba te-TB. Mhlonishwa sikubingelele sikuphendele thuba lokuthi uvusele emaswati.
Siyabonga kakhulu John, sivusele emaswati emakhaya, sivusele emaswati kubo online.
Ngivile mhlonishwa ukhuluma ngesikhundla lesimatima lapha ukuthi you are the very first chairperson of the Parliament caucus TB committee. Ungasichazela nje ukuthi yini and i-composition yayo ukuthi ime kanjani?
Thank you very much. Maybe ngaya nje back ukuthi iqhamukaphi. Kusho ukuthi emave emhlaba athola ukuthi i-TB sekwatiwa kakhulu ngayo on the ground through so many initiatives, but lokwendekako ukuthi on top decisions are not taken, like political will is lacking. Then kwaba nemhlangano lomkhulu ose-New York la khona there were 192 head of states including live laseSwatini kwasayinwa ama-declarations ke kokuthi kuze kube ne-critical awareness akuphume bo-funding for TB, but more than anything akube ne-parliamentary caucus letawubuka nje lokho ihle ihlupha uhulumende ukuthi awunaku sekuyasala uhulumende bekumele ke ibe khona ku-9th parliament naku-10th parliament yangabi khona. Sitheke masingena ke thine through bo-Albertina sabe sesiyayakha ke Eswatini is made up of 8 members, lamanye athi ngetempilo lamanye athi ngetemabhizinisi siyincube evanga nje, but lokumcoka silive kokuthi sithe sifika sesiya recognize kakhulu in SADC regions. That's why nje mina ngingi-chairperson wakhona ngi-attende imihlangano leminyenti yaka SADC le include labe invitwe only ministers ase-SADC and East Africa la nganiketa khona participatory observer status. Uslimete COVID John ngeke ngicambe manga would have achieved a lot, but ke sesitawuqhubeka sihlale naye COVID. We hope kunyenti lesitakwenda from to this year going forward.
And of course isikhuluma nge-caucus committee lese-parliament emhlonishwa ingabe yenzima yini lengadlalwa ngama-parliamentarians to make sure ukuthi tindzaba te-TB yakhulunyiswa kuma-constituencies?
Timbili tinto letingenziwa iParliament. Yekuqala kwekuthi akhumbutele kakhulu kuhulumende kwekuthi asilandzele ema-declarations lesiwasayinile kubo Barcelona kubo New York. 2, ema-parliamentary tarians avotelwe bantu, so ke nasitawusensitize ema-parliamentarians nakaya etinkundleni atawukhona ukuthi for any event kube nje naloyo 15 minutes we-TB. So ke kumcoka kokuthi ku-empowerishe bantu lebakhethwe sive, bantu lebane prominency and visibility ebantwini.
Mhlonishwa siyabonga kakhulu ukuxoxa nawe namuhla.
Thank you very much John nobabukele ekhaya.
Ngomhlonishwa Makford Sibanze lo ngusihlalo welibandla le Parliamentary caucus elikhulumisa ngetindzaba te-TB ikakhulukazi kukhulumisana nahulumende esigabeni lesetulu ukuthi kungenziwa njani ukuthi livela kangwane lincobe ke indzaba ye-TB. Kunento ke lesho nguminister waka health athi manje the clock is ticking and the minister said how I wish the clock could stop ticking. Esale nje kwatiwa ukuthi indzaba ye-TB iphelile maswahla mahle. We have come to the end of our live broadcast right here at Happy Valley Ezulwini. Thank you so much for joining us. If you do want to see this broadcast, you can go back to our Eswatini TV page on a YouTube page and see how this broadcast panned out from the very first minute to right now where we are concluding. Thank you so much once again to everyone, especially our broadcast team that has made this possible for us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
TB is a curse or punishment from God or the ancestors.
TB is an airborne disease caused by bacteria or germs. Anyone can get it, no matter who they are.
TB is hereditary.
TB is not hereditary. It is contagious. It is transmitted through the air when an infected person coughs or sneezes without covering their mouth or nose.
If you have TB, then it means you also have HIV.
People living with HIV and AIDS are at a higher risk of developing TB, but HIV and AIDS and TB are separate diseases, hence you can have one or both diseases at the same time.
TB is a disease for poor people.
Anyone can get TB, regardless of status or social class. However, there are those at higher risk of being infected, such as PLHIV, children under 5 years, malnourished people, ex-minors, prisoners, and many more. The 24th of March is World TB Day. Tuberculosis is one of the most misunderstood diseases in the world. There are many myths and misconceptions surrounding the disease. Some people